Welcome back to the 43rd episode of the Quick Bricks NBA DFS podcast, brought to you by the good guys over at Fantasy Degens. As always, I thought that was pretty cool. I looked the night before last and saw that this was the 43rd edition of the Quick Bricks pod. I started doing this pod last year. I've really enjoyed it. Hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. Of course, we're back. It is the Wednesday edition here, October 29th. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. We have 11 games. Don't ask me why I haven't counted already. I just haven't done that. Anyways, 11 of them. So, of course, like always, we're going to start with a little bit of the rundown of the games. We're going to talk about the spread, the total. Talk about, the highest totals on the board, of course, the top five. And then, of course, we'll jump into the position by position. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the games. We have the kickoff. We have the Bulls at the Cavs. Chicago is a 1.5-point road favorite here with a total of 215. We have the Knicks traveling to Orlando to take on the Magic. Orlando is -9 at home here with a 207 total. We have the T-Wolves traveling to Philadelphia to take on those 76ers. Philadelphia is only -6.5 here at home. Total on that one is 225. I was pretty shocked by that spread at 6.5. The Bucks traveling to the Celtics right here for a big Eastern Conference showdown right here. We have the Bucks -2 here, 222 on the total. That one ought to be a really good game. Pacers at the Nets. Brooklyn here is a -3.5-point home favorite, 220 on that total. Detroit traveling to Toronto. Toronto -8.5 at home here with a 210 total. Blazers traveling to OKC to take on the Thunder. This one does not have a line yet. At least it doesn't at the time of this recording. At the time, I guess they're trying to see if Steven Adams and maybe Zach Collins is going to play. I'm pretty sure Collins has already been ruled out. I'm pretty sure yesterday I saw that he's at least going to be out 2 games, and it could be more. They did say that it was that they thought that it was they were positive thinking about his shoulder being dislocated. Said he had a good range of movement, so more than likely he'll probably be back pretty soon. But I know he's probably out tomorrow night. Let's see here. What do we have? We have the Rockets going to Washington to take on the Wizards. Houston -8 here on the road, 230 total, biggest one on the board so far. Hornets taking on the Kings in Sacramento. Sacramento is actually a -7-point home favorite here over the Hornets with a 223 total. I really like that game, obviously, for a lot of DFS purposes. We'll get into that one. Clippers at the Jazz. This one's another Western Conference showdown right here that could be easily a playoff seeding here. Not a playoff seeding. Obviously, we just started the season, but you know what I mean. This is a big time game right here for both the Clippers and the Jazz. You could possibly see these teams getting near the finals there. Potentially you could see that. So Clippers at Jazz. You have Utah -1.5 here at home with a 215 total. Lower total, obviously. And then you have your late night hammer there on the West Coast with the Suns traveling to Golden State. Golden State -5 with the 229 total. So your top 5 games on the board. Numero uno is the Rockets at the Wizards with a 230 total. Number 2 is the Suns at the Warriors, of course, late night hammer, 229. Third highest total is the T-Wolves at the Sixers. Interestingly enough, we did talk about this already. The T-Wolves, had a couple of days off, and they are one of the top 5 in leading in terms of pace right now in the NBA. So that one's kind of interesting at 225. Number 4, we have the Hornets and Kings, which seems to be right now probably my favorite game stack. We know that Charlotte's bad, and they're not playing a whole lot of good defense, and there's a lot of exploitable spots on their roster. And then the Kings are kind of in the same way. Again, no Marvin Bagley. They're kind of throwing a few other guys. There's a couple of good, really nice value plays that I like on that side. Obviously, Rashawn Holmes had a really big game last game against Denver. Obviously, he's going to be in my pool here, so we'll get to that. And then number 5 is the Bucks and the Celtics. Interestingly enough, is at 222. So that's a little bit of a rundown of your games. Spread, total. So you kind of see where the totals are at on the board, seeing what teams have, the higher totals. Let's go ahead and jump right into the positions here. As always, it just seems like the point guard spot is always just so freaking loaded. You have Russell Westbrook at 9.6. The guy's price has not even moved. I mean, it's literally the same thing, and the guy's had almost a triple-double in every single game, garnering 27% usage, dishing off 46% assist percentage. He's also got a 15.6 rebound percentage, overall rebound percentage, which is the highest on the team, even higher than Clint Capella. We know Russell, that's Westbrook. That's what he does. 62.5, 65, 50.5. His last 3 games, fantasy point wise, he's running at a 112.54 pace. We know that's just Russ. He's a balls to the wall type guy, going. He's always going for the ball, always wants the ball. And I was talking to James and John and over from Fantasy Alarm, and we were talking about Russ, and a lot of the usage that he is getting is from basically that first round or that first wave of rotations for Houston. Whenever whenever Harden basically takes his first break, that's whenever Westbrook starts hammering down. Like, he always gets off to a slow start, and then all of a sudden, bam, he starts hammering down as soon as Harden sits. We kind of figured that was going to happen. I mean, I was a firm believer that both Harden and Westbrook were going to be able to both be close to 30+% usage on the season, and it's already happening. He's sitting right now at 27.9, and Harden is over 30, right around 30, 30.3, 30.5, something like that. Obviously, it can be done. It's going to be done, and it's only going to make them better, and they're only going to be better. It's almost like they feed off of each other. Westbrook, obviously, I don't see how you can't play him and try to build around him here. Excuse me. So we have Curry at 9.5, right below Westbrook here. He's taken at least 17 field goal attempts in every single game. He's shooting the ball a lot, over 40.5 fantasy points in his last 2. He basically has put up, he put up 55.3 in their last game. Draymond had a monster game, and he's right below 30% usage at 29.2. So now he gets to play Phoenix at home. So the matchup's there. It should have a really good pace. I mean, it's the second highest total on the board. We know that. Phoenix runs with pace. So does the Warriors. So Curry, obviously, another one that is going to be in play here, obviously. Kyrie at 8.7. Seems like his price went down. It actually went down $600. In his last 3 games, he's put up 63.8, 41, and then 76. I'm guessing it's because they're playing the Pacers. I'm not, 100% sure here, but I mean, they're at home. He has a 37.5% usage, pretty much highest in the NBA almost for a full-time starter getting that many minutes, and his price goes down $600. You be the judge, but I'll probably have some Kyrie for sure. One that I like a little bit below Kyrie and still kind of in that top tier is De'Aaron Fox. Interestingly enough, he's been playing really good at home. His last 2 home games they played 4 games now. The 2 road games, he's barely even touched over 20 fantasy points. But in his 2 home games, he's put up 39.3 and 43. Yeah, 39.3 and 43 fantasy points in his 2 home games. He's 7.8K on DraftKings. He's getting 26.9% of the usage. That's the highest on the team. And again, he's getting the Hornets at home, a team that doesn't play a lot of defense. So, De'Aaron Fox, probably one of my favorite in this range, in that top tier range for the price. I think he's one of my favorite plays. Kyle Lowry, 7.4K. The guy's price hasn't moved, and he's smashing. 3 of his last 4 three of the 4 that they've played, he's went for over 40 fantasy points. He's getting tons of minutes, playing like over 33 minutes a game, closer to 40. Of course, Detroit, we've already talked about this. Detroit is very, very bad against the point guard spot. So Kyle Lowry should absolutely him and Pascal Siakam should just absolutely dominate this Detroit team. They're not very good on defense. They're actually playing with a little bit of pace. So I think I like the Raptors quite a bit here. Like I said, I like those 2 guys mainly, Siakam and Kyle Lowry, and I also think that Fred VanVleet is going to be in play. Actually did not write him down, but I do think that he's totally fine. And even if I don't mention him in the shooting guard, I'm mentioning him right now. So I really like that. a little bit. I like Lowry more here at 7.4. I think he's just kind of hard to pass up. It's cheap, really cheap. Right below him, and again, all of these are still in that 7K and above price range. And that's why I said that the point guard spot is so loaded still. Malcolm Brogdon, 7.3. Let's see here. 45.8, 54.5, 45.8. And now he gets the Nets, which Trey, God dang it. Atlanta Hawks point guard Trey just played tonight. I can't think of his name. Mine went blank. But him and Kyrie I'm thinking of John Morant. John Morant just totally crushed Kyrie Irving, went back and forth. Pretty much a duel the whole game. John Morant put up 30 points, had a monster game against Kyrie. And now Malcolm Brogdon at 7.3K gets to face him too as well. Again, he's just put up over 45 points in 3 games, 24.8% usage, highest on the team. I don't think you can afford – I think, between Fox, Lowry, and Brogdon, it's going to be really hard to pass up those guys in that range for their price. Excuse me, I'm still battling allergies, so you guys have to bear with me. Going down into the middle range, Dennis Schroeder at 5.5. He's been coming along strong, 41.3 and 48 in his last 2. He's taken at least 13 or more field goal attempts in his last 3 games. Chris Paul's not getting it done. I hate to say it. Everybody was all excited about the revenge game with the Rockets, and I had 0 Chris Paul. I'm just not a fan of Chris Paul after his first game. He totally threw a dud at me because I played him and I was all up high on him with that whole stack when I had SGA as my cover, and he totally killed like a lot of my lineups. So I don't like Chris Paul, but I think Dennis Schroeder here at 5.5. My goodness, they're playing Portland, they're playing at home, and of course, if Adams doesn't sit and there's down another guy like that who's a big part of the starters, SGA is going to get his. But Dennis Schroeder coming off he's been playing really good. Coming off the bench, playing a lot of minutes. So I don't think you can, really nice value play there in Dennis Schroeder. Going a little bit lower under that 4.9K now range, we're going to Isaiah Thomas at 4K. Played 20 minutes in his return for Washington for his new team. Put up almost 30 fantasy points. Put up 28.3 fantasy points. I'm guessing he might be on a minutes restriction. I'm not 100% sure. They might just be trying to ease him back in. Of course, like I said, he's 4K. So if he's going to put up 30 fantasy points nearly on 20 minutes, I don't mind that a bit. So for the Knicks, it looks like Elfrid Payton has already been ruled out. Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable, and he might not play. That's essentially going to leave the Knicks with Alonzo Trier at 3.2K. He might end up being chalk. I mean, the Knicks are playing the Magic, and they are a heavy dog here, and it's the lowest total on the slate. So you might not even want to go there. But at 3.2K, and if he gets the start, DJ Augustine is not that great on defense. So needless to say, if he gets a start and he's 3.2K, he's going to be a free square. I mean, so watch out for that one. Of course, if he starts at 3.2K, there's really nothing you can do but probably just throw him in and hit the submit button and don't even look. So that kind of rounds out the lower half that rounds out the whole point guard spot. I do have Jordan Clarkson wrote down here at 3.6. Of course, the Cavs, are playing the Bulls. I want to get as many. I want to fade the Bulls as much as possible. They're not really good. They don't play great defense. I was all on them against the Knicks here 2 nights ago, and they kind of threw me under the bus with Kobe White just having like 12 points. It really pissed me off. But either way, I'm still going to continue to target them. They're still going to give up points. So Jordan Clarkson at 3.6, he's actually point guard and small forward eligible. So I guess he's been playing a little bit small forward. Either way, like I said, at 3.6K, he's been getting over 20 minutes. He does have the upside. And I don't think he's a bad punt play if you want to go there. So Moving on to the shooting guard spot, of course, Harden at 10-1. He's still more expensive than Russell Westbrook, and I don't think he scored more than Russell Westbrook in maybe one game, which is fascinating. But like I said, they're both going to get that right around that 30 or a little bit below that usage rate. Harden's going to get his still. So Harden at 10-1, I really don't have to talk too much about him. Brad Beal at 8-9 versus Houston. That is, like I said, that's the fourth highest? No, that's the highest total on the board. Of course, with Houston and the Wizards. Highest total on the board, and you got Brad Beal here at 8-9. Over 46 in 2 of his 3. So I don't fault you for going with Brad Beal. Part of that stack, that game stack, if you're stacking that game. One that I really like here, of course, is going to be Devin Booker at 7-9. He's got 27.7% usage, the highest on the team. He's taken over 16 field goal attempts in all of his games. A lot of them are in the 20s. He's the guy. They lost Ayton. And, Rubio, I think, is supposed to be back, so that'll probably take a little bit off of him, but I think that might help him also. I looked at it, and D'Angelo Russell is playing – his defensive rating is like 120. So he doesn't play any defense. We knew that already coming into this. So Devin Booker at 7-9 is probably one of my favorite shooting guard plays as well, of course, in that late-night hammer there, the second highest total on the board. Easily could be the highest total after tomorrow or by tomorrow, going during tomorrow. It's only 1 point lower than the Rockets and the Wizards total. So Devin Booker, obviously. Zach LaVine at 7-7 pulls me right back in against the Cavs again. I'm going to continue to target the Cavs. That's how it's going to go. Colin Sexton doesn't play great defense. Zach LaVine at 7.7. I'm totally fine here with that. C.J. McCollum is one that's very interesting. C.J. McCollum has been absolutely crushing lately. The last 2 games, he's had 52 and 41.3. In the 52-point game, he took 22 shots. In the 41-point game, he took 26 shots. I don't know where he's getting all those shots from, but he's getting them for some reason. He's carrying a 27.7% usage rate on the season. And then in the last 2 games, he's carried 29.5 for the most on the team. 57.7 true shooting percentage. It's nuts. He's shooting the lights out. He is kind of a streaky player, so if you go balls to the wall here on him and he has a dud, don't blame me. I'm just the messenger. But at 6.6K, and they're playing the Thunder in a pretty decent high total here as well. Actually, we don't know the total. I'm sorry. I just made that up. Either way, it seems like a really good spot. He's really cheap still, and I don't think you can afford to pass up the kind of usage that he's getting right now. So anyways, CJ at 6.6. I'm really digging it. RJ Barrett at 6.5. Blew up last game, 47.8 fantasy points versus Chicago. He is, he had 15 rebounds. Had a pretty nice double-double. Do I think that he'll get 15 rebounds again? Probably not. Obviously, they're playing the Magic, who are somewhat of a decent rebounding team. There is a chance that he sees Jonathan Isaac as well, which kind of makes me not as inclined to want to play him again or chase those points. I think I would probably just pay the $100 extra and play CJ here. But just saying, he's there if you want to go there. Spencer Dinwiddie at 5'2". I know he's a point guard, but he plays shooting guard. He's both way eligible. He's 5.2. He's had a pretty good couple games. He gets to play a lot of minutes on the back end. Takes plenty of shots. So at 5.2, he has decent upside. Think he's a nice value play. I'm not going any further below that right there because for the simple fact that a lot of those guys that I mentioned in the point guard spot can also play the shooting guard and are also point guard, shooting guard eligible. That being said, I'm totally fine with just dropping right there, keeping all the good plays that I like at the shooting guard spot, and then moving on. So that's what we shall do. Moving on to the small forward spot, Giannis at 10-8 against Boston. Who's going to guard him? Tatum? Good luck. Time Lord, Landlord, as they want to call him sometimes. He's not going to be able to guard him. Needless to say, this is a total smash spot for Giannis. That is the 5th highest total on the board at 222. So I'm totally fine with Giannis and building around him tonight or tomorrow night. Sorry, I'm recording this pod the night before. Either way, 10-8, I think that's a totally fair price. I think that's a totally fair price considering the guy's put up over 70 fantasy points twice already. Giannis, I'm totally fine with. On the flip side, Jason Tatum at 6.8, 37 and 50.3 in his last two. Decently high total in this game. I expect there to be a lot of back and forth. He is one of Boston's better players. I think he will have a pretty decent game. So Jason Tatum at 6.8, I'm totally fine with. He's pretty cheap, obviously. Kelly Oubre at 6.2. Every one of his games, he's top 34 fantasy points. He continues to stay in that 6K range. We know he has decent upside. He is playing Golden State. That is likely to be one of the top two highest total games on the board. I keep repeating that because that's exactly what we want to target. We want to target those high totals. We want to target those big pace games. We want those guys that can continue to get extra opportunities. Kelly Oubre is one of those at 6.2, especially if you're going to stack up that game. You got to have him. Jaylen Brown at 5.5, part of that, Boston and Milwaukee stack. He's actually had a couple big games lately. He's getting decent usage. He's in the 24.5 usage range, so totally fine with him at 5.5. Bojan Bogdanovic for the Jazz has totally crushed the last two games, 43.8 and 36.5. He's 5.5K. Now, the only kicker with him is that they're playing the Clippers, and I'm not 100% sure if Pat Bev and Kawhi guard Conley and Don Mitch, and that's going to obviously leave Bojan open more, and it probably gravitate the ball to him, and he's been lighting it up lately. So, needless to say, I'm totally fine with Bojan at 5.5. I don't think a lot of people are going to go there because they're playing the Clippers. Obviously, I think he's a great GPP play, so he'll probably be in a lot of my lineups. Bojan Bogdanovic for Utah, totally fine with him at 5.5. T.J. Warren came alive last game, 36.8 in his last game there. He's taken 12 and 15 and then 22 shots. 22 shots in his last game, which he erupted for 36.8 points. He had 5 steals in that game. So, with that being said, he's 5.1 playing against the Pistons. No, I'm sorry, the Nets. He's playing against the Nets tonight, tomorrow night, whatever. Anyway, he's taken – his shots have just literally gone up, and he's only 5K. Went for almost 37 fantasy points in his last game, 12, 15, 22. If he's going to take 20 shots a game at 5K, I want a piece of T.J. Warren. Moving along, going down below that 4.9 range, OJ Anunoby, 4.7, 40, 38.5 in his last two games. He's been doing a lot on the defensive side. He's had 6 blocks and 6 steals in his last two games. Obviously, he's going to be a great play on FanDuel who gives you that extra point for each of those. That's a lot. That's a ton of tremendous value on FanDuel for this guy right here playing with such defensive peripherals here. So OG Anunoby, I'm totally fine with it. Like I said, 4.7, and he's put up 40 and 38.5 in the last two. And they're playing the who are they playing? Raptors are playing the Pistons. One of the worst defensive teams in the league. Okay, yeah, I'm all over OG at 4.7. Give me all that. Hazonja at 4K. He's kind of capped, obviously. I know, like I said, CJ's been taking a gazillion shots, but he still has put up 21 and 22 fantasy points in the last two. He's getting starter minutes now since Zach Collins went down. Zach Collins is not going to be playing again tomorrow. If you need that filler, I'm not exactly loving his price at 4K. It went up, $500-$600 there. But I don't hate it. And then my boy Kevin Knox, again, he scored in double figures in 3 of the 4 games. Over 20 fantasy points in 3 of those 4 games. He's still only 3.6K. They could be without Elf. They could lock down RJ Barrett. Julius Randle, of course, is going to get his. Bobby Portis had a monster game against the Bulls, but that seemed to be a revenge spot that I was on. Kevin Knox at 3.6. He's continuing to get, over 20 minutes a game or close. and he's getting ample opportunities. I'm going to continue to put him in some GPP lineups because I feel like he's probably going to erupt pretty soon. So Kevin Knox, 3.6, probably about as low as I'm going to go there in the small forward spot. Moving along to the power forward, Pascal Siakam, like I said, really enjoying that game against the Pistons. Going to have him, obviously, at 8.4. He has cooled down a bit. He's only scored, in the 30, 33, 34, 36 fantasy point range in the last 2 games. But this game is exactly what he needs to get right back on track because the Pistons are bad, okay? Siakam at 8.4. Kevin Love at 8.2 is very interesting against Chicago. Again, I want to attack Chicago. I want to attack teams like the Suns. I want to attack teams like the Pistons. So you're going to find a lot of those guys in my spots here because those are the guys I want to look at. Kevin Love at 8.2 versus Chicago. He's played in 33 minutes or more in all 3 games, 40.5 and 55.8, and then 39 fantasy points in all 3. We're kind of seeing the Kevin Love of old here, and it makes it painful for me because I know the moment that I jump on Kevin Love, he's going to put up like 22 fantasy points, and I'm going to break my laptop, and I'm going to break a lot of things in my house, probably in my phone, and you guys are not going to have a pod. So I'm going to try to not do that, but I don't see how you can't play Kevin Love against Chicago here at 8.2, especially if you're going to pay up. Obviously, Siakam's at 8.4, so it's kind of hard. But I still don't think a lot of people are going to be playing Love. I think the people are going to be playing Siakam at 8.4. So with that being said, Kevin Love at 8.2, I'm totally fine with that. Sabonis, can't even say his damn name. Domantas Sabonis at 7.9 has been crushing lately, 41.5 or more in his last 2 of 3, over 33 minutes. He's he's had a double basically in almost every game. He's scored over 20 real fantasy points in basically all those games that he's put up 40 or more fantasy points. He's playing the Nets. We're gonna attack the Nets front court. We've done it for years now, it seems like, and it's still not changing. So Sabonis at 7.9, I'm totally fine with. Draymond went absolutely nuts last game. Of course, they were playing the Pelicans. The Pelicans don't play D. And they're missing Zion, and they were missing Derek Favors, so they were literally decimated at the front courts. They had no depth, really. They played Jahlil Okafor, and he put up almost 60 fantasy points, had a monster triple-double. I hope that that's signs of things to come for Draymond, or the simple fact that he wanted to show the teams that, especially the Pelicans, who have been probably getting a lot of hype talk, I think maybe he just wanted to kind of show them what was up. But still, nonetheless, they're playing Phoenix at home, and he's only 7.5K in what could be the highest total game on the board. So I think you got to have a little bit of exposure to Draymond as well at 7.5K. Serge Ibaka at 5.6. Again, we're going to be fading the Pistons. Bobby Portis at 5.5K. Again, I don't know what to take of it because he scores like 22, 27, and then against the Bulls he has like 55. I hope that's, again, is another sign of things to come. We know Mitchell Robinson is still kind of on a pitch count. If Julius Randle happens to get in foul trouble or anything like that, he's the direct backup. I don't mind it at 5.5K. I mean, he's still very, very, very cheap. But, of course, they are playing the Magic, and it is the lowest total on the board. So, things you have to think about. Larry Nance at 5.3, over 30 in 2 of his last 3. Larry Nance has been playing pretty decent. Don't mind that one bit. And then my dumpster dive for the power forward spot is going to be Davis Bertans, 3.7K. He has now put up 29. He's played 29, 27, and 32 minutes in his last 3. He's put up 14.5, 22.3, and then last game 36.5. Now, don't get me wrong. Last game he played San Antonio, which was a revenge spot in San Antonio, a gym that he's very, very accustomed to, needless to say. Nonetheless, he's getting the minutes. They are playing the Rockets in the biggest total game on the board, and he's 3.7K. We know he's going to chuck up some threes if he happens to hit something. If they start falling, and, he could easily 10x like he did last game. So Bertans, if you want to throw in a GPP, totally fine with. That rounds out the power forward spot. So next we move to the center spot. I'm going to probably more than likely be playing KT over Embiid at 9.9 instead of Embiid at 10K. They are playing each other in what could be, I don't know. It's third highest total on the game, or on the slate. Sorry, third highest total on the board. KT has just been a beast. Obviously, Embiid is pretty good on defense, but KAT is really good. So it's kind of like one of them, like, moving down, Rudy Gobert at 8K. He actually has done really well lately. He is now, or last game, sorry, he put up 15 points, 18 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 2 steals for 44 fantasy points. They are playing the Clippers at home. He's kind of priced a little high, but at the same time, we can see that he has that decent upside. But I think his fantasy value is always going to be capped. Like, I don't think he's ever going to put up a 60-point game unless, like, 3 of the guys fall injured in the first quarter, like Conley and Donovan Mitchell, in case those guys come up injured or something. But I just wanted to note that he had a monster game last game. Miles Turner at 7K. Again, we're going to be targeting bigs against Brooklyn. Hassan Whiteside at 6.7. OKC could be without Adams. He's questionable. I think that's why we don't have a line right now, is they're waiting to see if Adams is going to play. Obviously, he's an integral part of OKC's total scheme. So that's going to be something to be watching. If he doesn't play, they're going to have to probably play Nerlens Noel. So with that being said, you're probably going to have to play Hassan Whiteside at 6.7. One of the last ones, we got three left. Tristan Thompson at 6.5. He's been crushing lately, over 33 minutes in his last 3. Over 49. No, over 40.1 in his last 2. Sorry, I thought it said 49. He's been crushing. He's had a double-double in all 3 of his last 3 games. He's been crushing again. He's playing the Bulls. And he's cheap. He's 6.5K. 6.5K for over 40 fantasy points. Sign me up. Last 2. Frank Kaminsky, 5.5K, playing Golden State. 27.5, 37, 35 in his last 3 games. I don't really need to say much more. Rashawn Holmes, again, what I was talking about earlier. Rashawn Holmes at 4.5K, 30 minutes last game, 45.8 fantasy points, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 2 boards versus Denver. Denver seemed to be getting decimated, or they've been getting crushed by bigs here lately. So that's something to monitor as well. They really haven't been playing bigs very well. So keep that on your radar. Denver versus allowing some pretty big games to some centers and power forwards. So that's something to keep on in your back pocket. All right. So that is going to do it for me. That's going to do it for your Wednesday, October 29th edition of the Quick Bricks NBA DFS pod. As always, good luck, everyone, and have a wonderful Wednesday.